The CEO girlfriend's unforgettable first love just came back, proudly claiming he wants to kick me, the fake boyfriend, right out of her life. But I wasn't mad. Instead, I completely played along and wrote a formal resignation letter. I wiped my computer's browser history totally clean, packed my bags that exact same night, grabbed my massive savings of hundreds of millions, and caught a flight far away. It's honestly absolutely hilarious. When you have that much money, who really cares about true love or all that emotional nonsense anyway? Right after college, I took a massive risk applying to this pretty huge company. The second I walked in, the interviewer's eyes instantly lit up with pure excitement. They talked endlessly, asking detailed questions, like they wanted to know everything about my past and present lives. But in the end, I got completely rejected. Out of the 5 candidates there, I was the only single one firmly told I didn't get the job. I gritted my teeth through everyone's mocking stares, walked right out of the building, and raised my hand to hail a car with a slightly flashy design. Inside, I met a pretty, gorgeous woman. Her name was Liu Nhyn, and she confidently claimed to be the CEO of the exact company right behind me. She actually said she wanted to offer me an incredibly good job, and directly asked if I was interested in taking it. I asked her, what kind of job? She replied calmly, being her husband. I mean, seriously? I fired back. Are you sick? She just said her mental state was totally normal. What I really meant was, do you have some kind of terminal illness? Especially something contagious, you know? After hearing that lovely little question, she simply had her guys beat me up. While stuck in the hospital, I added her on social media. Her profile picture was a little girl sitting on some stairs, looking up at the bright moon. One look, and I instantly understood. I was just a stand-in for her precious first love. After leaving the hospital, we clearly negotiated the exact terms and benefits. No marriage registration, and absolutely no wedding ceremony whatsoever. I moved straight into her incredibly lavish, multi-billion-dollar mansion. Around CEO Liu, everyone in her circle secretly mocked me behind my back, constantly whispering that I was just a cheap replacement who could easily get tossed aside at any given moment. They gossiped a whole lot, but only in secret, because otherwise Liu Nhyn would definitely handle them. After all, no matter how low status the powerful CEO's little plaything might be, I definitely wasn't someone they could just casually gossip about without facing some consequences. I heard all those rumors straight from the maids, but I didn't even try to argue back at all, because honestly, I genuinely couldn't understand what they were even laughing at me for. These days, I feast on absolute delicacies every single day. Full benefits, top-tier insurance, I have it all. A fixed monthly salary of tens of millions drops straight into my bank account. Whenever I go out, I get a private car and my own driver. Though I heavily suspect Liu Nhyn just wants someone to monitor me, my job is hilariously simple. Just give Liu Nhyn a massage, wash some fresh fruit, bake some light pastries, and I'm totally done. The maids handle literally everything else. I barely have to lift a finger, mostly just focusing on maintaining a really good image for her. Plus, as long as Liu Nhyn isn't around, I can spend the rest of my free time doing whatever I want. I don't smoke, I don't drink, I just love playing games, reading novels, and binge-watching manga and anime. Since taking this gig, even my gaming setup costs hundreds of thousands. A slight glitch? I just buy a brand new one. I spend so much on game top-ups that the in-game events honestly can't even keep up with my crazy spending pace. For manga and novels, I only read official copies. I even buy entire collections without spending a single dime of my own salary. So, are they seriously laughing at me just because I don't have any major life goals to strive for anymore? Lately, Liu Nhyn works endless overtime. She often stays away for days, simply telling the maids to take really good care of me. At first, I found it pretty relaxing and comfortable. But one day, her secretary came by to grab some things and dropped a massive bomb on me. Liu Nhyn's unforgettable first love has officially returned. A guy named Y-Tang-nh. The secretary added that Y-Tang-nh came back specifically to kick me out of Liu Nhyn's life. He desperately wants to spend his remaining days right by her side. Now put yourself in my shoes. Honestly, hearing that news truly terrified me. Because a sweet miracle gig like this, you couldn't get it even if you begged. With Y-Tang-nh back in the picture, I'm highly likely going to lose my job. The secretary noticed my deep sadness and laughed. She told me not to worry too much, because this Y-Tang-nh looks almost exactly like me, but he actually has a highly dangerous, life-threatening illness that is extremely severe. If he doesn't find a suitable marrow donor soon, his time is rapidly running out. But once the secretary finally left, My anxiety spiked even harder. He and I look so incredibly identical. What if my marrow happens to be an exact match too? Wouldn't that literally make me some kind of living organ reserve? Knowing Liu Nhy's incredibly cold, ruthless personality, I'm absolutely certain she would pull something crazy like that. So I immediately checked my bank account. Seeing I'd successfully saved up 2 or 300 million meant I had already been living here for 3 whole years. A luxurious life is hard to leave behind, but you can't force things that truly don't belong to you in the end. That exact night, I wrote a resignation letter, left it on the table, wiped my computer's browser history completely clean, and then casually packed up my bags. To avoid getting caught, I even bought a plane ticket to somewhere incredibly far away from this exact city. I swiped Liu Nhy's black card. Why feel bad about free money? Because from now on, I can only spend my own cash. Thinking about that honestly stings a little bit. But while her maids and private driver weren't paying any attention, I quietly snuck right out the back door and ran away. As soon as I step out of the airport, a whole crowd of drivers rushes over to pick me up. Or maybe just ambush me. Nearly 100 guys surround me, pushing all the way from the exit to the parking lot, all speaking perfectly clear standard language. I guess because I have not changed clothes yet, and I am wearing pretty expensive gear, they completely ignore everyone else and just stick to me. Oh man, if you saw this without knowing, you would think some huge celebrity was walking through. I carefully pick out an older driver who looks quite experienced and follow him right into his car. Unexpectedly, he signals for 2 other massive guys to hop into the vehicle right behind us. The second the doors shut, he slams the gas pedal all the way down and rockets out of the parking lot. That is when I finally realize something is seriously wrong. The car is huge, with enough room for at least 5 more people. Normal airport drivers do not operate like this at all. He did not even wait for a full ride. I never booked this whole car, but now, way too late. With those 2 huge guys sitting right there, do not dare make a move. I just let the driver take me to a very isolated, remote hotel out of town. Right as I step out, those 2 drag me inside. And then dozens of other guys completely block my path in the hotel lobby. I ask them straight up if they want my money or my looks. They reply that they are professionals with strong ethics, just getting paid to do a job for someone else. Hearing that, it all instantly clicks in my head. These huge guys all belong to Liu Nhy. She clearly knows grabbing someone in public causes a scene, so she specially bribed every single driver around the airport, and hired a massive pile of local bodyguards and security on top of that. Honestly, from the very second I stepped off that plane, I walked right into a massive trap she had already set up for me. I call her up immediately, telling her this is highly illegal, and I am calling the cops right now. But she tells me reporting it is completely useless. The police will just treat it as a family matter, and there is no way I'm escaping. I am absolutely furious. Right then, if I had known, I would have used my own money to buy tickets and added an extra transfer just to be safe. The bodyguards tell me it is pointless anyway. No matter how I run, Liu Nhy will find my destination and build the exact same trap. Got to admit, she is incredibly ruthless. I end up staying one night at that hotel. By late afternoon the next day, Liu Nhy finally shows up. The second she walks in, she pulls out my old letter and shoves it straight into my mouth, forcing me to swallow it. With so many guards watching, I just have to do it. Even asking the hotel staff for a bottle of water to help it slide down easier. If I knew this would happen, I would not have used such huge paper. Then, someone behind her slides over a chair. She crosses her legs, folds her arms, sits down, and asks why I resign. I answer her smoothly since that guy named Wai Tang Thenage came back. I did not want to get dragged into a bone marrow transplant, so bowing out early was my only choice. Hold up, watch how she pivots right here. She drops the topic completely, asking if I really feel absolutely zero emotion after spending 3 whole years by her side. I tell her it would be a lie to say no. Being together that long, even if it was just a job, I actually like that house quite a bit. A super rich boss lady and a massive mansion like that? I do not believe anyone could stay completely unaffected by all that. But honestly, as a totally broke guy from the mountains, I really do not understand what kind of deep feelings in this world cannot be crushed by a few 100 million. That much cash is enough for me to carry an entire street of elderly people across the road. Besides, when your basic living needs are fully met, personal health is simply the most important thing. Finally, Liu Nhy bluntly orders me to come back with her, threatening to break my legs if I run again. I tell her she might as well just do it. Trading my 2 legs for 3 million means this entire lifetime is basically worth it anyway. She stops pushing and has the hotel call up 2 young girls for me, saying if I survive tonight, she will let me walk away and add another 200 million. Ha, completely ridiculous. Just the interest on my 300 million is enough for a rich life. Do I really look like I need another 200? It is just a bone marrow donation, right? Fine, I will go back. Arriving at the hospital, I see this Y Tang Then guy lying there looking exactly like a dried up bean sprout. He stares over at Liu Nhyn with eyes just overflowing with deep, dramatic affection. You know that feeling when a scene is wilder than any anime you have watched? Yeah, this is it. I also spot a photo on his bedside cabinet from when he was healthy. The camera angle is aligned perfectly, pointing right straight at Liu Nhyn. He honestly looks a lot like me, just paler and thinner. Plus, he pulls off a suit with more style, and wearing glasses makes him look highly educated. Going from such a handsome image to this current state is pretty tragic, but that is not the main point. The real issue is that while he acts like he is staring only at Liu Nhyn, he secretly shoots me a quick sideways glance, then turns back to Liu Nhyn and whispers words so incredibly cheesy I literally get goosebumps. He completely ignores my existence, showing his absolute contempt right on his face. I notice his name is Y Tang Then, but honestly, I'd not care less about it. I just want to shrink into a corner and become totally invisible. As a result, right after he finishes talking, Liu Nhyn immediately orders her people to take me for a bone marrow compatibility test. Without any quick chance to fight back right now, I just follow the bodyguards out of the room. But right then, that guy Y Tang Than's eyes suddenly light up like crazy. He stares at our kid with this intense glare, basically acting like a super bright flashlight, illuminating the entire hallway as he steps right out the door. After finishing the paperwork at the window, he hands the forms to the two bodyguards. Then he immediately bolts straight out of the hospital. By the time those two bodyguards crawl through the hospital gates, looking sneaky as lizards, our guy is already chilling right in front of the vending machine, having picked out his drink. He knows full well he cannot escape at all. He just really wants to grab a quick drink. He tells the bodyguards to pay up, but they completely refuse. So he turns around and screams out, Lu Nuyen's bodyguards are abusing people, draining his health, and not even letting him have a single sip of water. Thanks to that massive scene, he successfully scores a totally free bottle of water. But ultimately, he still gets dragged right back into that hospital room. Being escorted back inside, that guy Y Tang Than is still talking non-stop. He keeps going on and on about his deep love for Lu Nuyen, while completely whining about his own medical condition at the exact same time. Honestly, despite being super sick, the guy looks surprisingly energetic. Lu Nuyen just gently comforts him, promising everything will be perfectly fine right after the bone marrow transplant is done. So their conversation slowly shifts into this bright, beautiful future together. Our guy just takes a big sip of his cold drink to wash down all that cringe. Leaning in the corner, feeling incredibly bored, he wonders to himself, are these people seriously living inside some kind of fantasy dream world right now? He and this Y Tang Then guy just happen to look somewhat alike. That is it. They definitely are not some long-lost brothers or anything. The odds of a marrow match are unbelievably low, so how could it just perfectly match right away? And yet, right as he is yawning and about to doze off, the test results get delivered straight to them. The crazy thing is, it is actually a perfect match. A bodyguard shoves a voluntary donation form right in his face, totally forcing him to sign it. He instantly finds it super hard to just sit still. Someone else getting sick has absolutely nothing to do with him. He certainly did not teach the guy how to catch an illness. Even if they match perfectly, he has absolutely no real obligation to donate anything. Even if he eventually gets forced into surgery, the price definitely needs recalculating. He really just wants to run away. He even argues with them for ages, loudly explaining that forcing someone to donate marrow is a straight-up illegal act. Making a donation has to be completely voluntary, right? He even plans to post online and call the cops for help. But before he can even pull his phone out, it gets completely confiscated from him. Lu Nuyen just smirks slightly, giving this half-joking smile. She uses that cold look to tell him that stuff like this means nothing to her, and throwing legal facts around will not do him any good here. So he has no choice but to step back and negotiate the price with Lu Nuyen. Dropping cash is no problem for her, and she even calls a bodyguard over to show him how to sign it nicely. In the end, he can only be voluntarily forced to put his name on that dotted line. Who would have thought this Y Tang Then guy would actually call him ugly? He calls him a useless country bumpkin from the mountains, claiming that putting a price tag on his own marrow is just incredibly cheap and pathetic. Our guy fires back, and honestly, you have to love his comeback here. Yeah, sure, He admits he is cheap, but if his marrow is that cheap, does he even dare take it? Scared he will become cheap too? The guy gets completely triggered by this, instantly ordering the bodyguards to drag him outside. Hey Emph, well, at least our kid is not some blatant freeloader anyway. Right now, this body is just a tool to make money through hard effort. So why even pretend to be noble? He feels like these rich folks really just complicate absolutely everything for no good reason. They completely ignore the law, yet still force him to sign this so-called voluntary form. Just because a wolf wears a fancy suit, does not mean it stops being a wild beast, right? Getting dragged back to the villa, he is so furious, he curses out Lu Nu Yen, Wai Tang Than, and even the whole bunch of game developers. Why curse out the game developers too? Because the top-up channel for that game is insanely slow, and he exhausts his fingers tapping without getting much in return. So he goes and files a complaint, saying the game team is way too slow releasing events. After that, the game's customer service actually calls him up to apologize profusely, claiming they mobilized all their technicians just to prepare a massive, private top-up channel exclusively for him. So for the next few days, he does absolutely nothing but top up his game, completely using Lu Nu Yen's account for all of it. He buys all sorts of expensive items and sells them super cheap, driving the in-game merchants totally crazy as they accuse him of ruining the market. So he naturally goes back to scolding the publisher, and the publisher then heavily pressures those merchants. Then the merchants turn right around to pressure him back. This chaotic loop just repeats for a few rounds. Lu Nu Yen returns, immediately asking what on earth he is doing, thinking somebody already snitched on him. He just casually tells her all about his grand master plan. He plans to completely drain her account balance by buying up comic books, copyrighted novels, and dumping cash into his games. Hearing this, she just stares at him open-mouthed for a long time, then rubs her forehead, telling the butler to prep a private office and even promising him his own personal server. Then she actually asks where her peeled fruits and homemade desserts went. Wait for it. Our guy just feels completely and utterly speechless at this ridiculous demand. Because between him and her, there is absolutely no employment contract anymore. They are currently deep in the emotional damage phase. These little side services are just not part of his responsibilities. Hearing that, she figures he has a point, stops giving him a hard time, and starts negotiating the marrow donation instead. His core principle is to never agree. Donate marrow to, and who knows, may they try taking his heart out tomorrow. There is absolutely no way to compromise on this matter. After agreeing on a price, the bodyguards escort him right back to the hospital the next day. He tries thinking of a way to break the medical equipment, just to make Lu Nu Yen pay up some hefty compensation, since that stuff is insanely expensive. But the doctor says Liu Nhyn actually donated all this equipment. I just tell them to draw less blood. The doctor ups the anesthesia, telling me to just take a nap and it will be over. Opening my eyes, I'm already lying on a bed in the villa, a needle mark on my arm. My entire body instantly feels terrible, so I look it up online. Extreme fatigue, strictly no heavy lifting, and so on. I have pretty much every single symptom of bone marrow extraction, plus those long-term after effects that basically impact your entire life. After reading that, my life feels completely meaningless. I really should have reported this as a workplace injury. My entire body has absolutely no energy left, yet somehow I'm incredibly hungry. Grabbing the wall and handrail, I barely drag myself out. Reaching the stairs, I cannot stand it anymore, forcing myself to crawl down step by step. I struggle hard just to reach the first floor, but can only keep crawling across the floor. My body has so little strength that I cannot even squeeze out a shout for help. I suddenly feel my life is truly as bitter as 100% dark chocolate. Standing in front of these truly despicable capitalists, I have absolutely zero strength left to put up a fight. From the stairs to the living room is a mere 50 meters, yet crawling takes me exactly 10 minutes. Liu Nhyn holds a thermos, sitting on the sofa watching the whole thing, not even letting the nanny lend me a hand. She claims I am even more useful than the newest model of robot vacuum. I crawl right up next to her, planning to negotiate for a little bit of extra money. Besides, I already donated my bone marrow, so is she really not going to let me go? She completely ignores me, just ordering the nanny to cook me a truly delicious meal. Sea cucumber, lobster, king crab, abalone, bird nest, absolutely everything must be included. And then she leaves the room, even though those dishes taste really amazing. Absolutely, all the finest delicacies cannot make up for the massive physical trauma just had to endure. This incredibly cold and truly ruthless woman. Normal people donate once every half year at most, yet she extracted my marrow 3 times in just 6 months. I honestly have no idea how I even survived it all. Every single time gets far more exhausting, and eating all these fine foods never makes up for it. Whenever I curse her out, she wants to rip my heart and lungs out. I tell her she might as well take Wai Tang Then's brain and just shove it right into my head. But she flat out refuses. She insists on keeping me locked inside this villa, basically turning me into a living spare parts warehouse for this guy named Wai Tang Nh. Watch this. Things cannot keep going like this. I absolutely must find a way out. Otherwise, having money without a life to spend it is a massive waste. Taken for a fourth surgery, immediately negotiate with the doctor, telling him to lower the anesthesia dose since my body is nowhere near what it used to be. If he uses the old dose and something goes wrong, at best I lose my life. At worst, CEO Liu's precious Wai Tang Nh loses his only replacement parts. Who could possibly bear that massive responsibility? The doctor glances at the camera in the corner. Seeing it nod, he immediately agrees. Before the surgery time even finishes, I already wake up, only finding myself lying on a hospital bed with absolutely nobody around, and seeing completely zero machines used for extracting bone marrow. I have no mind to figure out what just happened, only knowing I must run as fast as possible. So I dash out of the ward and sprint down the hallway. The incredibly heavy smell of disinfectant makes me really dizzy, but strangely enough, I do not see a single patient anywhere. Maybe everyone went home for the weekend, but honestly, I almost thought I already left this mortal world. Luckily, passing by an office, I run into the doctor, who tells me to go back quickly. But who in their right mind would actually listen to him? I honestly do not know where I find the strength to just run blindly. The doctor cannot catch up, so he calls a whole crowd for backup. Instantly, medical staff from the entire hospital spread across the hallways to trap me. With completely no way out, I desperately hide in a random hospital room, never expecting it to be Wai Tang Then's room. That guy is lying weakly on the bed, but seeing me, he perks right up, saying he finally waited for this day and telling me to quickly donate my marrow. I'm angrily near tears. I already donated 4 times. Is that not enough? Even a thirsty vampire would feel completely ashamed taking that much blood. Yet this crazy guy actually tells me I have never received a single bone marrow donation at all. Liu Nhyn said it was not time yet and told him to wait. Hearing that leaves me absolutely stunned. I clearly donated 4 times. You hear this? I am basically poked into a cheese slice. I vividly remember the timing of every single procedure. He straight up asks if I am Superman, because he never heard of any normal person donating bone marrow 4 times in half a year, and still actively jumping around. We start comparing our records right there in the hospital ward, quickly discovering the number of donations and transplants absolutely do not match up at all. So where did all my marrow donations actually go? Did Liu Nhyn take them to make hot pot? Right then, Liu Nhyn's voice loudly rings out from the corner camera. She says honestly, your bone marrow was never actually extracted. You were just given a little bit of nutrient solution. Before I can demand the truth, Liu Nhyn breaks down the door with the whole squad of doctors and bodyguards, trapping me in the corner. The doctor claims they just let me sleep, adding that if I actually donated 4 times in 6 months, I would have turned into a dried corpse long ago. Liu Nhyn says nothing to me, instead pulling out a stack of really old papers and throwing them at Wai Tang Nh, asking him how those miserably painful days of waiting felt. How does it really feel to think you finally have hope, only to be totally abandoned? I pick one up to check and see a very old loan slip. The reason for the loan was purely for studying and exam prep. Looking at the photos placed right by the bed, they were all taken just for Liu Nhyn to see, and the backgrounds are pure, expensive luxury. I finally realized that even though Wai Tang Nh isn't exactly rich, his education and background are actually pretty solid. If he hadn't gotten sick, he'd be a total success story. Wai Tang Nh fiercely glares right at Liu Nhyn, his eyes practically bulging out like a revived mummy. He struggles to sit up, but totally fails, holding on for just 3 seconds before collapsing back onto the bed, constantly asking, "Why did you lie to me?" Liu Nhyn just tells him he does not need to pay anymore, simply repenting sincerely is enough. Then she drags me right out of that hospital room, leaving the nurses to handle Wai Tang Nh. The poor guy desperately wants to rage, but has absolutely zero strength left. Even after hopping into Liu Nhyn's super expensive car, I still have absolutely no clue what she is actually trying to pull here. To help me grasp the situation, she explains it like this. Imagine back when you were completely broke, working endlessly, saving every single penny to fund his exam studies. He even promised that later on, you two would share a wonderfully happy life together. Then, the second he actually passes and succeeds, he suddenly claims you were simply not compatible and walks away, leaving you entirely stuck with a massive mountain of student debt. So you bury yourself in brutal work to make money. Years later, you become a billionaire with a wildly successful career, and you even keep a perfectly innocent, pure-hearted little puppy by your side. Right at that exact moment, your first love suddenly returns, covered in sickness, and immediately demands to get back together with you. Liu Nhyn asks him directly in that kind of specific situation, who would you realistically choose? I totally get the logic here, but what on earth is that so-called innocent puppy thing? The bad news is, I just got kidnapped again. The good news is, this time around, Liu Nhyn is not the one behind it. The even worse news? My kidnapper is actually that precious first love, Tang Th. After being dragged right back to the villa, every single misunderstanding gets perfectly cleared up. Even though I still cannot officially leave, my freedom gets quite a bit broader, allowing me to finally go out and play. One weekend, right, while Liu Nhyn is working overtime and the bodyguards are on leave. I'm getting in the car for the market when I notice the driver is completely unfamiliar. At first, I actually thought she was nice, chatting with her in a really cheerful mood, right up until we pull into a hospital, and I see the real driver getting dragged out of the trunk. Then I realize I'm totally doomed. Honestly, you cannot really blame me for being quite naive here. Who expects to get kidnapped just going for a breezy ride? Tang Th drained every last bit of his remaining wealth to bribe a doctor and hire thugs. Finally managing to capture me, he instantly orders the doctor to pin me down on the operating table, planning a forced marrow extraction. Staring at a needle thick as a chopstick about to jab into me, a sudden thought hits. If Liu Nhyn's whole setup was just to punish Tang Th, then maybe the marrow match results are totally fake too? For a girl like her, that is not difficult. The doctors in the room actually find that pretty logical. Tang Th looks doubtful, but carefully orders someone to run an official test all over again. The results show we are completely incompatible. In that specific moment, I actually almost feel a bit of pity for him. Watching his shrinking, sobbing figure in the corner. Being a good guy, I calmly walk over just to comfort him a bit, saying if we actually matched, I might have gladly donated to him just once, but as a result, he fiercely orders his men to pin me onto the operating table again, darkly muttering that if he cannot survive this, Liu Nhyn will never find peace either, and she absolutely must pay the price. I can only sigh heavily at this point. Seriously, tough guys, could you just stop overcomplicating things? If you want to vent anger on Liu Nhyn, why on earth use scalpels on my poor body? Seeing them about to start up those wildly expensive machines, I sincerely tell them it is truly not necessary. We are completely incompatible, yet you are dragging me onto such pricey equipment. If I violently struggle and break something, you guys will suffer a massive financial loss. Tang Th finds that quite reasonable, so he switches to a surgical knife. Seeing he still clearly cares about money, I propose another idea. Why not use me as a hostage to force Liu Nhyn into finding a perfectly matched donor for you? Would that not be way more effective? The whole room immediately nods in agreement. It makes sense. Tang Th praises that skipping university exams was a waste for me. Someone nearby reminds him I never needed them. So he gets furiously mad, ordering his guys to beat me up, recording a video just to send to Liu Nhyn. What truly moves me is that Liu Nhyn actually brings her people to rescue me. The funny part is her guys are entirely dressed in shorts and slippers, completely missing their suits, looking exactly like some wild youth gang fighting over local territory. Seriously, what era is this? Still aggressively fighting like old school gangsters out here. While both sides fiercely struggle, I sneakily borrow a phone, calling the police to describe the chaotic situation in detail. Right before both sides actually clash into a huge fight, dozens of police officers and eager reporters suddenly show up, arresting absolutely everyone at the scene. Police cars completely fill up several streets. I spot Liu Nhyn hiding away in an office, so I simply tell the cops there is another suspect in there. Just like that, she gets directly escorted onto a police cruiser too. All the way, she still keeps a perfect smile for the media, but her intensely cold eyes never leave me. I instantly know trouble is coming, desperately begging the police for witness protection. But here is the twist. Her clever lawyer later claims this is just a simple family dispute. The next day, news of Liu Nhyn getting detained hits the hot search, but it quickly gets overtaken by a clip of me crawling around the villa. People joke that the wealthy really know how to play, even their sweeping robots are human. Netizens even highly suggest I should go register a copyright. I personally feel that is pretty unimportant. After being detained for just a brief time, Liu Nhyn somehow already donated a massive batch of expensive medical equipment to the hospital. Add in those bodyguards insisting she had absolutely nothing to do with it, and boom, she gets released instantly. As for Tang Nh, kidnapping and extortion with rock-solid evidence got him slapped with 10 straight years behind bars. After all that chaos, Liu Nhyn just chilled at the villa for ages, saying she wanted to stay close to me. But I noticed something weird. Her profile picture is still that same staring little girl. Only difference is, now that kid is holding a water gun. You see that, right? I'm actually a little terrified. I honestly prefer her old icy, totally emotionless vibe so much more. At least back then, she was way easier to read. Honestly, I'm totally done running away now. As long as my life is not in actual danger, walking away from free rent, great food, and wild VIP perks would just be totally foolish. But of course, Liu Nhyn drops a brand new demand on me. She actually praises my brains, saying I am surprisingly good at setting those clever little traps. I totally thought payback was coming, but nope. She claims my skills would just be completely wasted outside of her massive corporate world. So she is dragging me into her company for training, starting right off as her personal assistant. I just straight up ask her, aren't you terrified I will steal everything and run? She just calmly dares me to even try making it 10 kilometers from the villa. Then she insists on teaching me some advanced people reading skills and literally forces me to start arm wrestling random strangers. I ask her what the point of all that is. Her answer? So I will never get kidnapped and tossed into a literal hot pot again. Damn, she actually has a solid point. Yeah. Absolutely wild.